Hello, family, and welcome to the Value Class podcast with Dr. Bidemi Emmanuel. And today, being a wonderful day, we'll be talking about recovery from failure, and it can also be titled Recovery from Loss. Such an interesting concept, right? It remains a wonderful thing that at one point in life or another, we are condemned to experiencing loss, if not losses. And for reasons best known to God, it seems unavoidable. Especially because having done all, we still cannot predict the future. And being humans that we are, we cannot predict the actions of others and the possible consequences of it. Losses. I would not like to say they are inevitable, but unfortunately, they just may be. Such that insurances are an amazing business avenue now because we have to safeguard ourselves and our properties against losses, especially unexpected ones. A loss is a situation where something or someone goes out of our hands and we can no longer say we possess them. Yes, for many reasons. It's a loss of possession. The possession being something or someone. And it can happen for many reasons. Self-inflicted reasons and even the consequences of other people's action. Now, many people experience diverse forms of losses. One of the most common kind of loss is money. Many people lose money. Some people lose a prize. Some people lose relationships. Other people lose opportunities. One very interesting thing that people lose is a fellow human being. Anything of value can be lost. Anything of value, anything we can ascribe value to can be lost. But three major arenas in which I have seen losses the most is in business, in finances, and in life. And I mentioned earlier that losses can come from any source and for many reasons. It might just be as a result of self-inflicted actions such as ignorance and negligence. There's a common saying that what you don't know cannot kill you. It is one of the most effective lies that Satan has told. Oh, what you don't know can kill you. Especially because he holds an advantage of knowledge against you. And for the fact that you don't know it, you don't even know the extent of the danger with which it can cause. And yes, it can bring about a significant loss. What you don't know might just kill you. In all things, get knowledge. True wisdom is a house built and by understanding it is established. In all you're getting, get wisdom. Negligence. Negligence might just define itself as something we know we should do, but for reasons best known to us, we refused to do. Probably because we're complacent or we just felt things should be better. Expectations, false expectations. And there are more of non-self-afflicted reasons for losses than self anyway. There are unforeseen events that you just cannot plan for. Like I said earlier, the action of others. In business, political decisions can make a mess of you. Yes. And market changes can affect some businesses such that I would like to give an example at this point that I would like to say In the early 2000s, Nokia was the perfect phone brand. Nokia actually did nothing wrong. In fact, Nokia could survive every and any competition, but not when the market changed and people now believed in higher levels of technology. And unfortunately for Nokia, they could not catch up. So they lost the market, not because they were not good enough, but because the market experienced a change, and for that change, they were unable to catch up. Another major cause for loss is what I call death. Death. Cessation of life. Cessation of physical life, not eternal life. Well, I am a Christian and I believe in a kind of life after death. Death being a cessation of physical existence on planet Earth. Yes. We have, as Christians, we have an eternal hope of glory. And we have a lot of confidence in that. Okay? Now, for whatever reasons, the causes really do not matter much. Because as long as there has been a loss, it is usually irreversible. Yes, usually irreversible. For example, when you lose a loved one, except by a miracle, can the dead be raised to life. And the dead that was raised to life will still die a little in the future. So, losses are inevitable. Forgive me. Sometimes we invest the very best that we have into certain relationships, and they still go down the drain. You did your best, actually, your very best, and the relationship still suffered. Sometimes ago, I was watching a video by Mrs. Ibukun Awoshika, and she said, one of those days, the federal government released a policy saying furniture should no longer be imported. And her biggest business as of the time was importation of furnitures. For reasons best known to anybody. You might be doing well in business and doing well in life, and a Pharaoh would come that doesn't know Joseph. And he can strike you hard. So hard that you will lose your livelihood. Many people lose their livelihood on failed transportation, even robbery. For many reasons, losses can happen. That is exactly what I am trying to say. And when losses have happened, the first thing we have to do is to acknowledge that it has happened. The human mind wants and desires relative perfection, such that it will be forced to deny that the loss has not happened. But I would like to announce to you that the loss has happened and nothing can be done against it. You have to acknowledge and accept that it has happened. If necessary, you should mourn. Of course, humans were designed to cry. It was not designed for goats and for dogs. You may wish you have done better. You could even wish you could reverse the whole situation and just one decision could have saved you from this loss. But as long as you did not do it before now, the loss has happened. Accept it. There's no help anywhere. After the loss has happened, accept and acknowledge that it has happened. If you need to cry, please do. Just stop wishing you could have changed it because you did not change it. It has happened. Face it, acknowledge it. One thing I like to say to people who mourn with those who have lost relatives and families is that they often use statements like, I can feel your pain. I assure you, you cannot feel their pain. Even if you have lost a relative, you still cannot feel their pain because you do not know the extent of connection that they shared before the other person died. The best you can do is mourn with them and comfort them. Not with words unnecessary anyway. You wish you had spoken to them one last time before they died, you did not. Losses happen. The second thing to do after you see that the loss has happened, especially in businesses and in life endeavors such as relationships is that you study the successful part of it. Now, when you take a significant loss in business, do not just feel like you failed from the beginning to the end. No. There was a successful part, actually. It was the successful part that blindsided you to the potential danger. Yes, because of the way it started well, you did not think it could witness any form of endangering event in the progression of the business. Because of the way the relationship started, and it felt like you were two lovebirds from Shakespeare world, it blindsided you to the potential red flags and dangers that were just along the way. So study the successful part. There's always a success story in every loss and failure. Yeah, there's a successful part. There's always a successful beginning. Study it and note it. Now find out. Let me use the right words I designed for it. I said, query to find out the signs of impending doom that you ignored. There were signs. And the signs were showing you potential dangers right ahead of you. But you ignored them. Yes, you did. So take a look back into memory and find the signs of those impending dooms that you ignored. Find them. The point where the failure began, find it too. Because the failure just didn't jump on you in one instant. The loss did not jump on you in 1 second. Think about how it started. And what made you become blindsided to the fact that a failure was looking at you right in the face, but you could not see it. Find out what blindsided you against the signs of failure. Was it trust? The wrong kind of trust? Was it your fleeting emotions? Was it greed? Or even trauma? Oh yes, it could have been trauma. Or was it just a failure in your operating system? Whatever it is, find it out. Because you have the tendency to make exactly the same mistake again if you don't study the pattern of your failure. If you don't study the pattern of your losses, you will repeat the same thing exactly. Especially because events are a product of aligned thoughts, which form a mindset. If you have a fixed mindset, you will continue to produce exactly the same result per time. And if you don't study to see where the failures are and where the potential dangers are lurking and waiting for you to step into, you would make exactly the same mistake over and over, repeating losses exactly the same way and for the same reasons. So, study the successful part of the story, find out the signs you ignored, find out what blindsided you against the signs. And one thing I would recommend is make consultations. After you have realized all of these things, as humans, we are a being of interrelationship. Interpersonal relationship, intrafamily relationship, different kinds of relationship and friendship. We exist as a communal being. We thrive better within a community. Make consultation, especially with knowledgeable people. I would often recommend mentors. Mentors and teachers, yes. I would recommend mentors and teachers. Consult with them, tell them the things you have found, and let them help you analyze it. The funny thing with mentorship is that some of the very things you are going through and you could just have avoided, they have gone through it. And if you had worked with them from the very beginning, you could have avoided some of these losses. Now that you have made these losses, to avoid even greater losses in the future, it is best to discuss with people who are much more knowledgeable than yourself. Of course, you cannot know everything. Some people know what you don't know. Even though you know almost everything, but they still know what you don't know by virtue of experience, by virtue of investigation, for reasons best known to whatever. They know more than you. So consult with them. Have mentors, yeah? Have mentors. Please do not be tempted to think you can live life as an epitome of knowledge. You really are not that strong. As a person, I have a mentorship academy. Yet, I have an academic mentor. I have a business mentor. And for my relationships, I have someone I consider a teacher. So, do I know so much? I know quite enough to teach many people. But I still would let my knowledge be compared with some other people who I consider to also be very knowledgeable. Because the scripture says, in the multitude of counsel, there is safety. Yes. In the multitude of counsel, there is safety. So make consultations. Now, the next step is to focus on how to recover from your loss. The first thing is make up your mind to start again. Make up your mind to start again and to start better. Did you fail in a business? No problem. It's allowed. Make up your mind to start again and to start better. Was it a relationship? It's fine. Make up your mind to start again and start better. Did you lose a loved one? Make up your mind to love someone again and to love them better. Yes, you really have to. Because if you let your losses alone, they can scar you for the longest time possible. And they can just scar you enough to never heal. So make up your mind to start again and to start better than before. Especially without comparison or without haste. Make up your mind to start and to start better, but without comparison and without haste. I have had a number of sad stories. Imagine having grown up with someone you consider a partner for 4 years, and for reasons best known to Satan, not to God this time around, the relationship failed. You cannot meet someone and in the next 2 months you are planning marriage because you have been with someone else for 4 years. You would have to build again with this new person, and you have to build right without being in a haste to attain the level of perfection the other person attained. Because if the other person was actually perfect, it would not have ended. Always be patient when you have to start again. Start without comparison. Do not compare two people to each other. It's a recipe for failure. If you ever compared yourself to me, you would be making the comparison with the wrong statistics, because this is how we subconsciously do it. You compare your failures with my success. Exactly. You will compare with every single thing until you find something you have done better than, and that might just be their failures anyway. And if you ever try to match up to their success, you would realize, no, you are far from the point. So you are never a being of comparison. Do not make comparisons unnecessarily. It is not wise. If you have to compare things because you want to acquire them. Do not compare yourself to any other person, and do not make comparison with your past. No, do not. It is not wise to say you have had a better yesterday. It is the beginning of foolishness. So make up your mind to start again. Make up your mind to start better without comparison and without haste. It will be like the story of an adult who had an accident and lost his limb in the process. Now, as a result of physiotherapy, he is learning to walk again. He will have to learn to walk again like a baby by standing and sitting back down. Because if he thinks because he has worked for 27 years before having the accident, he will just get up and start walking again and get everything right at once, he would be lying. The injury he's had will humble him. Get ready to start again and to start better. The second thing is accept your fears. Yes. Every single person who have had the loss in one area or the other, they have fears in that area too. Because the simple question is, what is to say that I will not do exactly the same thing again? What is to say that I will not suffer exactly the same loss again? Unfortunately, there's no promise to that, but we still have to, in the hope and in the faith, get set to do it again. Accept your fears because they exist and they will look at you right in the face. Your fears will not be gentle towards you. Accept it and confront it with the right decisions. Like I said earlier, you have to make consultations, share knowledge, share wisdom, find out the things that went right and went wrong. And by that, you will see your fears and you will then be able to design the right actions to confront them. You must face your fears. There's no way out of that. Like an adult who is learning to walk again, you will have to take the baby steps. Can you imagine? Last time he took baby steps was when he was 9 months old, practicing how to walk. Now, because of an injury to his leg and because of an injury to his waist, he's learning to walk again. Be ready to take the baby steps again after a significant loss. Now, the advantage that experience offers you is called leverage. You can leverage on the past knowledge so that you can do things better and do things faster. He has worked for 27 years, so he knows how to walk. He knows where to walk and where not to walk. So he will not fall down like a baby. However, he will have to take baby steps. So you can leverage on the past knowledge because you are not a novice, so that you can cover grounds faster. In the things that worked and the things that were successful, you can easily reestablish them and then take your time to conquer the things that did not work out. So you can leverage on past knowledge to cover grounds faster and by that eliminate potential dooms, seeing that you have identified them initially. This is a classical way to restore your business and your relationships, yeah? Now, the recovery process is not complete even after all of these things I have said. You are required to document and tell the story of your failure. Oh, forgive me, but it's a necessity. You will write it down and you will tell the story. That means you definitely have to recover. Now, in documenting the story, you will see hidden patterns and you will have deep insight and understanding. In telling the story and the lessons you have learned from it, you will come into further realization of the things you could have done better and the things you failed at. So document your story. And may I announce to you that the knowledge of your failure is not a total waste. It can be added to the quiver of your mentorship. One of the people I really love, although I do not accept this ideology, I do not totally accept this ideology I'm about to push. He says he is willing to listen to a businessman who has failed. Let me put it right. He is only willing to listen to a businessman who has failed. And he is only willing to listen to a married man who has been divorced once. It is logical. It is acceptable. Because there is a value that their failure has brought out of them, seeing that they have even been able to overcome their failure. So your knowledge can become a valuable tool of mentorship. The business decisions you took that made a mess of you can save many if you ever decide to document and tell the story, especially the generations that are coming behind. So also with the story of a failed marriage, the irony of life is that many people will not get it right once. It's allowed. You don't have to die, although it will come at a cost, and the cost may be very heavy. The cost may be very heavy. But there's always a chance to rewrite the story. Always. The chance may be costly, but it's always there. Your knowledge can become a valuable tool for mentorship. It can save many. Now, let me conclude by saying your loss is not totally a loss. It can actually become a testimony of your resilience, a testimony of your determination, and for the Christian, a testimony of your trust in God. In fact, Apostle Paul had to say, as a soldier of Christ, get ready to endure hardship. One of the recipes of being an accurate Christian is what I call persecution. For reasons best known to God, because of the way He has designed it as a conflict against the system of the world, being an accurate and a practicing Christian, you will suffer losses for the name of Christ. Yes. And He will be with you in it, and He will help you overcome it. Be at peace. Be of good cheer, for He has overcome the world. That was His promise to us. So your loss can become a testimony of your resilience, your determination, and your trust in God. It can also become a testimony of your redirection and your preservation to many others. Experience, they say, is the best teacher. It is not necessarily your own experience teaching you. You could have learned from the experience of many others, and many others can learn from your own experience. Let others learn from yours. If you have suffered the loss, investigate why you made the loss. Face your fears and attempt recovery. Now document the story of your failure. Ensure it is well documented. And let it become a valuable thing you can share with the next generation. You can recover from any loss. And I am not careful with the words I just put out. Any form of loss, you can recover from it. You can learn to do the business again. You can learn to live the life again. Even when the legs are taken away, it doesn't mean life is taken away. You can learn to live again. You can learn to love again. Whatever the loss is, you can recover. This is my admonition to you. Develop a very strong heart. Because only with that can you make the necessary recovery. Thank you.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.